Welcome, Darklings, to Season 3 of the Reign of Blood podcast. I'm Ember, one of your hosts, here to introduce you to the shadowy depths of what hopes to be our most sinister season yet. This season, your unholy trinity of organizers and hosts, Miss Kitten, Radically Dark, and myself, have entirely way too much fun with the Summer of Stabs, our 80s horror-themed series that promises to be both educational and thrilling. Our aim is to explore the macabre, beauty that lies in the shadowed, or maybe not so shadowed, spaces of desire. Leading up to Reign of Blood Nightfall, our advanced Halloween extravaganza, we'll be discussing topics such as embodied and informed consent, risk mitigation, and other helpful tips, ensuring that every prick, slice, and puncture is as thought through as it is sensational for you. We'll also continue interviewing sharks enthusiasts from around the world to find out what makes the blood-loving heart tick. And maybe we'll talk Miss K into recording some more horror meditations for us. Join us as we explore the eerie, the edgy, and the exquisitely sharp. This is Reign of Blood, where the macabre meets the magnificent, and the only limit is your imagination, risk profile, and informed consent. Let the Summer of Stabs begin. But first, a content warning. This podcast is not suited for individuals who are not legal adults, are not interested in heavier BDSM practices, who are presently having severe mental or relationship health concerns, or who do not already understand basic BDSM practices regarding consent, ethics, risk mitigation, etc. Topics may include things like mental health issues, social issues, injustice, blood and sharks, of course, medical trauma, medical issues, trauma of various types, and more. Listener discretion is heavily advised.
Hey, amazing humans. Welcome back to Reign of Blood's podcast. I'm your host for tonight, Miss Kitten, and my team is really excited to welcome MaskOfSanity back into our virtual dungeon and onto our platform for Reign of Blood Nightfall. So we're really excited to have this incredible human with us today. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us, Meebs.
Oh, that's so nice. Hi, everybody.
Hi, this is hopefully starting to get excited about Nightfall, and
I'm so excited.
yeah, hopefully starting to get excited, and we are really looking forward to hosting everyone. We're starting to drop our presenter list. They're coming out. I think we've dropped 21 out of 30 so far. So if the
Amazing.
listeners are listening to the podcast, they get a little heads up. And obviously I'm still bubbling with excitement because I know all the class titles and I know what's coming. So I'm having the best month ever. But before we talk more about that, do you want to just give myself and the Kinksters a little bit of an introduction? I know that you are from the land down under, but I don't know much more about you. So maybe you can tell us how you started your kink journey in the Muggle world and ended up being a Kinkster.
So I am from Perth, Australia, Western Australia, on the other side of Sydney, not anywhere close to Sydney. And I've lived in Australia all my life, except for 2 years when I lived in America. I started my kink journey, I think I was 18 when I first started going to events, but I actually discovered BDSM through true crime. I used to read a lot of things related to that, and there was a website that no longer exists anymore, but it would have blue hyperlinks that would give you definitions for things. And I read words like sadomasochist and master slave, and I was like, what is this? And so I would click on those things and it would give me the definition. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I started researching and then kind of fell in love with ethical kink, not true crime kink. And I made an account on Colony and met some wonderful people on there and started attending Perth events and went to my first munch, and then I went to my first play party a week later, which was insane. So cool. Shout out to the stellar humans that used to run that party. And then I made a FetLife account, and the rest is history. So I think this is my 17th year doing public side of kink. I've had breaks here and there, but yeah, about 17 years. So, and I just turned 36 yesterday, in fact.
Well, wish you a happy birthday on behalf of
Thank
our
you.
entire team. That's amazing. Happy 36, and I hope you have an incredible one.
Yes, it was really great. I got to do cell popping for the first time on the Sunday, so that was an amazing experience. And what a way to say goodbye to 35.
Oh, tell me a little bit
Doing
about
that.
the soul popping. I've done some classes, but I haven't actually tackled it as a top or a bottom. So it's something that's incredible to watch, but I haven't done
It's
it.
so cool. So I have watched it before back in the day when I used to go to more there used to be some private parties here in Perth that were more on the body mod, more edge play stuff. And so I've witnessed it many a time, plus other, branding, hooks, all of that sort of stuff, but never did it. And the wonderful shout out to them. I don't know if that, or they might listen to this because I'll send them the link. Devis Adelaide, Pixie and Nick just came over from Radelaide, Adelaide, to Perth to run some amazing workshops this past weekend, and they ran the workshop on cell popping. So got to sit and learn all about it, and then we got to do it. So my nesting partner and I did it. I couldn't do it on myself. I don't know why, because needles I was able to just woof in straight away, but for whatever reason I just kept psyching myself out. But then he did a cell pop on me. There's pictures on my Fet if anyone wants to go and have a look at them. Yeah, he did it on me and it was amazing. And I just psyched myself out, but I want to do it one on him. So we are planning on doing that soon. But I'm actually going to attempt to make this one that I just did on Sunday permanent. So once it's healed a bit more, then we'll be able to re-go over the pops, and hopefully we can make this one permanent because I love it so much. So, but yeah, it's definitely a new kink.
New kink unlocked. Needles,
Yeah.
one prick and you're hooked, and it doesn't seem to be a big stretch from the first needle to being doing needles for life.
Yeah, I don't know why I psyched myself out. I'd get it, I'd heat it up, and then I'd go to do it. I'm like, nope, I can't do it. But then when I did needles after I did, because I was a viewer of the very first Reign of Blood, and I got to watch the wonderfully radically dark. Shout out to you, my love. I watched their Needle 101 and immediately went and bought all the equipment that I needed so I could do it. And I have a fear of needles, so it was a pretty big step for me. And then all of a sudden I had 8 in my leg, and the rest is history. I haven't done it on anyone else except for my primary partner, who did 1. Because he's a pussy ass bitch. He's gonna I'm gonna get into trouble for that. He's gonna hear that and go, you're in trouble. No, he was a big sport. So I'd like to definitely do some topping of that once I'm a little bit more used to doing it on myself, but it's really fun. I love doing needles now. So unlocked that this year as well. So
You've had 35 was a busy year for your future self.
35 seemed to be the year of unlocking all the things I wanted to do. Like needles, I just like developing kinks that I wasn't sure I had before. So like straight jackets with my other partner, who's really big into different kinds of bondage. He introduced me to straight jackets. Absolutely love them. Needles, thanks to Radically Dark. Cell popping, thanks to Devious Adelaide. I did waterboarding again. Well, I had done it earlier, but like a more intense waterboarding situation. And yeah, 35 seemed to be 2024 is been the year of new experiences, which has been wonderful.
Oh, that's amazing. We have bloodboarding
I
stated to take.
know, I'm so excited to, oh, can't wait
Right,
for
just to
that.
take waterboarding one step further.
I
Let's add
know.
blood and make it more
I'm so
exciting.
here
And
for that.
I've seen some of the pictures, and I'm so excited for that class. I'm so in it. I don't know if waterboarding is my thing, but bloodboarding definitely has me captivated, and I'm definitely in it to win it. That's amazing. Tell me a bit about the straight jackets. My partner's kink is latex. We've
My,
had some latex jackets and stuff that we've
mhm.
played with, and they're just incredible. But what do you love about it? And yeah, tell me a bit more.
So, my straitjacket is made out of canvas, so it's like supposed to be as close to the real thing as possible. My other partner, Jackaroo, his is white and mine's black, so we want to do a photo shoot with us in them, so we thought we'd get the contrasting colors. And I like it because it's sort of similar to rope in the sense of like the restricting feeling, and but there's a lot of like movement, so you can sort of like struggle against it. I like sort of the way that he and I put them on. It's sort of like a ritual for us. And then yeah, we just honestly, when we play, it's very silly goofy. We are not serious kinksters in that regard. I think that all ways that people play is beautiful, but I'm definitely a silly goose. So it was wonderful to find somebody that also uh, likes to be a silly goose too. I think it might be because of our shared neurodivergence that we feel comfortable being goofy with each other. So, but yeah, rope was my very, very first sort of introduction to sort of bondage, I would say. And then I never really sort of experimented further except for going into a latex vacuum, which I hated.
Oh
Um,
no, really?
I'm yeah, I had a massive panic attack and needed to be pulled out immediately. However, I am open to doing the latex back beds as long as my head is out. I think that was where I just that last suck in and everything just went whoop. I was like, nope, don't like this. So yeah, I'm definitely open to it. I know that he is very interested in inflatable latex and all of that latex straitjackets and stuff. It's on our list of things to get, but um sleep sacks is the next big purchase. Um
Oh, I love sleep sacks, and I have to
yeah.
tell you, I relate a little bit to that panic. We have a latex wet bed, and my partner is latex obsessed. There's no other word for it. It's beyond a fetish. It's now it's just who it's just who he is.
Part of their identity.
Yeah, no, it's totally beyond a fetish. Like normal people would be terrified by the stuff that we get up to with the latex. But when I started it, I had a latex dress, and it was really pretty, and it was a nice fashion accessory, but I didn't quite understand the fetish. And it took me a while. And my first time I put a mask on, I had the same reaction that you had in the cube. I was completely overwhelmed. It was just too
Mm,
much. And I thought that I would have a problem with the vac bed like that, because ours is full. It's a full vac bed. It's just got a tube for your mouth, so you actually have a
mm,
gag in your mouth and then just a tube sticking out. And I just practiced a lot with the gag. So I think it was being able to breathe in a situation under pressure where I knew that I could was super
yes.
helpful. And I think that had a lot to do with it. But my partner has this idea that we're going to take this latex vac bed to all our events, and we're going to show the world our amazing vac bed, which is great. But I think it's a bigger kink than you actually realize it is.
Oh yeah,
And
latex is huge.
yeah, and I think that
Mm.
complete pressure of being completely underneath the vac bed and completely sucked in can be very overwhelming for people. So don't feel bad, and I would
No,
definitely give it
no.
a try again.
I don't feel bad about it. I just was surprised of my reaction because I thought I would really enjoy it and I did not. But yeah, like I said, I'm definitely open to experimenting. I think latex is absolutely beautiful. I have some
Only thing that
friends
latex
who are
doesn't like is your wallet. It's not kind on my wallet. That's the only thing that I
yes,
would yeah.
that is the downside to latex. And also it's not great in Australian summer either.
Yeah, no,
So really,
I'm in Africa. Like it
oh, of
is,
course,
you know,
yeah.
there's huge advantages to wearing latex. It's like instant weight loss. I always joke with my friends and say, because I was definitely born in the 1900s. So, you know, as I get older, it gets harder to get wet, but not in latex. It's instant. That's great. I was giggling about what you said with your partner and how he let you put one needle in him. I
Yes, so that
told you
was
a bit
my
of,
primary
yeah,
partner, yeah.
I told you a bit about my partner and his latex fetish. Pain is not part of the fetish at all.
Yeah.
I think right in the beginning of my journey, we've been together quite a while. Right in the beginning of our journey together, when I was still a new and really confident, I put a cable tie around his penis and I managed to catch just the foreskin in the top of
Oh
the cable
no.
tie. And
Oof.
this is still the story he tells, like even at vanilla events, like you know how I assaulted him. It was complete
Oh my
accident. He
gosh, that's
didn't
so
forgive me for
funny.
weeks. So he's let me put a couple of needles in him. He's been super brave, bless him. But it's not his
Yeah.
kink. He doesn't love it. So
Yeah.
I was just smiling because I think we're very blessed and privileged to have these amazing humans in our lives that support us and support
Yes,
our
definitely.
crazy. And I just loved listening to how you were describing that you had found a partner that his crazy bit played well with your crazy and your crazies meshed together and you guys had giggly, happy, kinky fun.
Yeah, so both my partners are like that, but yeah, Mr. H is the one that did the needle, and he's not at all a bottom or the only thing he bottoms for is wax and fire, and possibly cell popping once I do it on him. It might be something that he likes. He's really into temperature play, but he's definitely a sadist and all of that and that. But Jackaroo is the one that is the silly, goofy one, but he also doesn't like pain. So well, he's getting there though. I like that developing my emotional sadism with him. So it's been an interesting experience because my experience with sadism has always been inflicting physical pain rather than emotional. So it's been fun to sort of experiment with that emotional side and doing fear and using fear as a tool essentially. And but he's getting better at letting me hit him
Nice.
occasionally.
I like that.
Yeah.
And that
So they
emotional sadism comes with trust. So I think it's great.
absolutely.
I think it's great that you're finding a space that you can explore that in. That's really special.
Yeah. So I get two sadists and a switch and then a dom all packaged into two wonderful humans. So
Oh,
I'm
I
very
love
lucky. I feel
that.
very, very lucky.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about your journey with blood. And I know
Oh,
that you're
yes.
very interested in, yeah, you can definitely tell the blood players from the non-blood players. The reaction is visceral.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
and how that started for you and what your first experience was like and where you've ended up now.
so I'm not sure if it's appropriate to share um things that aren't I just don't want to trigger people. So maybe I'll just give a quick content warning here about self-harm because that was really my introduction to blood was through that. So uh, hopefully this doesn't trigger anybody. And I
Don't
really
panic, and we do have a trigger warning at the top of our podcast.
awesome.
Yeah,
But
and
I
we are
just don't
very
want to.
open. No, we're very open about speaking about it. I think a lot of us on this journey have experienced it,
Yes,
and
I would
we've
say so.
harnessed it, and we've managed to be empowered by it instead of let it be something that we're ashamed for. So you don't
Yes.
have to show up with any shame, and we're
it's
very open
not a
about
shame
discussing it.
thing. Yeah, it's not a shame thing per se. It's more just I don't want to upset other people and potentially cause them to be triggered by that. I'm very
Well, thank you
careful
for
about
that. Yeah, thank you for that, and I
sharing that.
really
But yeah.
appreciate that. And listeners, you've now been warned twice. Once at the beginning of the podcast, and once
And
by
now.
our amazing guest. So if this is not for you, maybe now is a great time to stop listening and join us for our next podcast. But for those of you who do stay, we will now be talking about things that are triggering.
Yes. So my introduction to sort of blood was through self-harm. I was a serious self-harmer all through my teenage years with multiple self-exiting attempts, as well as stays at mental health units, locked and unlocked, throughout most of my last year of high school. So for me, that's sort of where that thing came from. It was a way of bringing the emotional pain that I was feeling and all the things that I was going through, which I won't get into, but it was a way to bring that into a physical thing, and then watching that physical thing heal was a way of helping me to then go, okay, that physical thing has healed, so that emotional pain that I'm feeling is now healed or feeling better, not necessarily healed. When I discovered kink is when I really stopped self-harming, to the extent that I have had relapses here and there, but for the most part, I've been pretty self-harm free for quite some time. So using sort of not replacing self-harm with kink, but sort of using it as a different outlet, more safer outlet, uh, was what I really liked about BDSM and kink, giving away that control and also uh, watching, bruises heal and cuts heal and all of those things heal was a way of self-healing my internal mind and all of that. So, but I think the first time I ever did anything to do with blood play specifically was when some amazing people did a blood cupping on me. Gosh, that would have been like 20. There's pictures on my fet, so you will need to, if you want to see them, you will need to send me a friend request, which I'm totally open to receiving. You don't have to message me or anything. I accept them all. So, but yeah, I think that was like 2010 or something like that. And yeah, I did blood cupping for the very first time and got turned into a human Etch-a-Sketch, which is incredible. And then I used to watch a lot of stuff. I used to watch hooks and needles and suturing and staples and barbed wire and all those wonderful things, but I never really did them. I'm quite a cautious person when it comes to blood. So I really only did things except for that first time I did blood cupping, because the people that did it were extremely experienced. They'd been doing it for like 20 plus years. I only really did blood play with fluid bonded partners up until probably a few years ago, when I started really getting into the vampire toy thing. And because I have a vampire toy that can be cleaned and sanitized because it's made out of metal, I can use it on multiple people. Obviously not at the same time, but
Thank you for the
just
clarification.
a lineup of people, and I'm just hitting every single person. So no, we don't do that.
Brain was like, line them up.
Yeah, I mean, look, hey, if people are open to that, and we can sanitize in between each. It's in your risk. If it's in your risk profile, I'm okay with it. So I had a submissive who was a very wonderful blood enthusiast like me. She's a little masochist as well, which was great. So we did a lot of vampire toys. Then I also had another partner earlier this year who is also really into that. So I was able to do a lot of stuff with her too, which was great. And there's been play partners and people throughout the last few years that I've been able, because I have this stainless steel paddle, I'm able to facilitate those without them having to go and spend hundreds of dollars on a piece of equipment that they might actually hate. So
And after
there's
you've used it once, they go and spend hundreds of dollars on a piece of equipment that they
yes,
absolutely love.
exactly. That's actually what happened with my submissive. We did vampire toys a few times, and then she went out and bought her own set of stuff. So she has gloves, paddles, all sorts of things. I actually don't know. She probably has more now. She might have even more than what I have. But yeah, so and then other people generally just use the one that I have. But I'm very protective of her because she is uh, a custom made one that was made by someone who's no longer with us, who really got me into the sort of edge play side of kink. I love you, Taipan. You're a gem. And the whole Perth community misses you dearly because you could go to him and say, I want to make this. And he'd go, yes. And then he'd go, and he would just create the most brutal toys you could possibly, like anything that you could think of, he would make. So, and yeah, he was a good egg, that one. But yeah, so I'm very protective of my vampire paddle, but I'm so glad that I get to use it on all sorts of people that I meet and have relationships with, and can just show it off and tell the story that's behind it, because it's just keeps his memory alive, which is lovely.
Does the paddle have a name?
No, I didn't name it. It's so funny that you say that because I did have some other stuff by Taipan that did have names. Uh, there was the Tank and there was the Reaper. I should come up with a name. I do name a lot of my toys. I have a flogger called Harold because he's made out of giraffe leather. And if it might, you won't understand because you're not Australian, but any Aussies who are listening who were sort of my age or a little bit younger might remember Harold, the safety health giraffe that used to come to the school. He was like a puppet that would teach us about health related things. We'd go into his air conditioned van and he'd teach us all about health. So yes, when I got a giraffe flogger, I was like, it's Harold. It has to be. So
I love that. I think
yeah,
that's
so
fantastic.
Harold gets around. He's very well loved.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you're bringing us some of your love for these vampire toys to our Rain of Blood Nightfall. Tell me a little bit about what we can expect from your class.
So my class is called Crimson Passions. And it's talking about vampire toys and techniques. So it will be, because vampire toys are a little bit more on the edge play side of things. It's more aimed at towards, I suppose, more experienced kinksters as far as like knowing impact and all of that sort of stuff. But you can be a total beginner to vampire toys to attend. So you don't have to have any knowledge about vampire toys per se, but I would recommend that you have some basic knowledge on, impact and that, and at least, at least a sort of beginner slash intermediate knowledge on that. But it is designed for both experienced practitioners of vampire toys and totally new people. And it's going to cover all sorts of wonderful things, all the different toys, including paddles, gloves, props, and then I've also got some DIY stuff. And I will also have some new prototype stuff that I'm picking up very soon. So that's a little sneak peek for you guys. I'm going to go pick that up and test that out. And it will be on, so I will have a video Jackaroo and I will do a pre-recorded video that will just slide on into the PowerPoint presentation that you can watch me in a straitjacket, if we can figure out how I can record and be in a straitjacket at the same time, getting my thighs brutalized by the vampire toys, and hopefully with this new toy that's coming, it will leave some wonderful marks. I will give fair warning, I don't bleed a lot, so you might not see too much blood, but I will let Jack go full send, as we say, go full send, and we'll try and get some good, at least some good, couple of good hits, so you can sort of see, and then I'll sort of talk about, you know, what to do and what not to do when it comes to playing with vampire toys.
I absolutely love
yeah.
that, and I love that you taught me a new saying, "Go full send." Am I doing it correctly?
Yes, going full send. That's what we say. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
divine.
go full send.
I've written it on my notepad. I'm going to definitely
Feel free to
note
use it.
yeah, note to self.
Full send
Yeah,
it.
note to self. It's definitely something to use in the dungeon
So
in the next
yeah,
week. So
with impact we say go full send, and then with electro, my saying is turn it up to 11.
turn it up to 11. I like that.
Yes,
Cool.
it was one of the very first a vintage electro toy that I played around with. The maximum that you could go up to was number 11. So then that just became the turn it up to 11 saying that's I've been saying for the last, oh gosh, 5 years, something like that.
I'm terrified of electro.
Oh, I love
It's
electro.
the one kink that I just don't align with. Like there is just a
I love
complete
electro.
fear. It's been used on me for punishment in my younger kink years. So I think for me, it's just one of those things that I have huge respect for. I have the most amazing electro toys, but they live in their boxes and they never come out. I'm actually too scared to use them because with my electro skills, managed to shock myself more than I managed to shock a bottom. So I think the bottoms have more fun when I do electro because they watch the fear on my face and they're actually scared of the situation.
That's so funny. My favorite
So,
thing about that is because I've run many a class on electro play and doing demos, and you get these like big buff domly doms come in and they're like, oh yeah, I want to try, and they're like, turn it up, like, you know, trying to be, you know, things. So I'm like, okay, and I turn up and they scream like a 2-year-old, and I'm like, and then I just take it from them and then put it on my tongue, and they're just like, what the fuck? They're just like, what the hell? So that's my kink, is making Domly Dom do like big old beefcake Domly Doms scream like little girls with electro. And I also like the smell of it. that's that's my 2 favorite things about it. But yeah, it's no.
The smell of it like a violet one, like the oxygen
Yes,
smell. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
the ozone smell, yeah, the ozone
yeah.
smell. That's my thing, and also kind of burning hair smell too. Not
Yeah,
gonna lie, I kind of like that.
burning hair. I'm getting more used to. I've done a bit of fire recently, and I'm
Yeah,
getting better at fire. The burning hair is
I
not
love
as
fire.
prevalent as it used to be. And the
Yeah,
nice thing about burning hair is it's like the gift that keeps on giving. You smell it once when it happens, and you get to smell it again when you get in the
yeah,
shower. So it's like
yeah,
I did that thing tonight. I can
yeah,
definitely remember doing
yeah.
that thing now. And I'm
It's
looking at
why
my
I like
arm.
doing electro on my tongue, because it has that metallic taste, which is what blood has. So I kind of, it has that. Like if you've ever licked a battery, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah,
I'm
so
gonna say that's
that's
possibly one of the few things I haven't done in my life, and
is like a battery.
yeah, I haven't licked a battery, and I'm just I have to tell you, if I was in your electric class, you would be in hysterics. You wouldn't even have to turn the toy on, and I'd be screaming. So it's one of those completely
I'm
rational fears.
No, I'm so gentle with people when I do my electro. I always take it slow and steady. With anything that I'm doing as far as facilitating kinks, it's always slow, steady, and we work our way up. And that's always sort of the the ethos that I've had when it comes to any kind of facilitation is we start off slow, we give a taster, and then we work our way up to the more intense things. Unless I know you, then I go full send.
There you go. You dropped that amazing thing.
Yeah, I did it again. Sorry.
I was writing my matric, which are like end of school exams, and I had South African local history on the next morning, and my neighbors were throwing like this amazing party next door, and I was trying desperately to study like a million statute laws and get all the stuff into my head, and it just wasn't working. And I stormed to the fence and I climbed on a tree stump, and I had put my head over the wall to scream at my neighbors in my unstable glory of all the pressure from my exams. And I managed to connect my face with the electric fence.
No!
I woke up on the floor with 3 beautiful black lines straight across my face. And I knocked myself completely out. So that was the beginning of my electro journey. And then somebody bought me the most gorgeous, I think it's a bush telephone. But
A field phone?
Field phone.
A field phone?
Amazing field phone, and I set the whole thing up, and I was so excited. And I turned around to speak to a friend of mine, and I managed to electrocute myself with it. And I touched the two, and it was such a stupid maneuver, but again, I woke up on the floor and I touched my two experiences with it were like, it was just, they were both epic. They both resulted in blackness.
Oh my gosh, that's so hilarious.
I haven't touched it since, and then I got a violet wand, and her name is Helga. And she is over 100 years old, and she's been passed down in our community from like the dom that owned her actually also passed away. And so she was this incredible, she has this incredible legacy. If she could tell you the stories that have happened to her in her box, I'm sure we'd all be here for months. And that I can deal with a bit better. It's like a sunburn for me. It's a much more tolerable feeling. But even that, like, I unplugged the entire machine. I changed the head. I plugged the head back into the wall. I have this, like, if you see my process for setting the thing up, I mean, I think that it's like a complete comedy scene. My bottoms are literally in hysterics watching me work with the machine and setting it up and watching my safety precautions. I'm more careful and probably more organized than I am with needles, which is saying a lot. So
that's so funny.
Yeah, so yeah, but it is a very cool kink. My partner really enjoys electricity. I don't know why. I can't understand it.
It's so funny that you brought up field phones, because that is a hard limit for me, and I've never tried one. But for the people,
I'm going to say that is such a clever hard limit. Having had the experience, I will 100% back that.
Anybody who knows Sadistica on FetLife knows that she loves field phones, and I read her Masochist's journal entries about the interrogation scene that they did, and she or they, actually, I'm not sure what their pronouns are, they were talking about field phones, and I was like, okay, yeah, field phones are definitely on my hard limits. I love electro. No way could you ever convince me to use a field phone. I want one just to have one, but I sure as shit ain't using it. They scary.
Yeah, I have one. It's in the cupboard. I'm scared of it even when it's not switched on.
It's just haunting you from the cupboard.
It does. It literally provides me with enough fear. It doesn't even have to come outside to do it. And I certainly wouldn't use it on anybody, because having experienced it myself, I was like, I'm done. That can go back in the cupboard and live there.
The pictures of that being used just made my whole like soul like go, ugh. And like, even I just had that visceral reaction of like, like, absolutely beautiful like explanation of the interrogation scene. But and the other picture, like beautiful pictures and all of that. And I think Sadistica and their Masochist are wonderful people, and I love reading about their journey. But field phones, hell no. Thanks, Sadistica, if you're listening. Cheers, cheers, Queen.
Yeah, cheers. You've made sure that we all know our limits and have a very clear understanding. Yeah, that's definitely not something that I even get anxiety talking about electricity. Like my heart's pumping and I'm
That's so funny.
a little bit sweaty. I'm really
Let's move on then.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you at Rain of Blood and to experience the class with you. And I love your passion for blood and for vampire toys. It's been really great
Yeah.
spending time with you. And thank you so much for making time in your schedule to chat to us and for supporting our platform and helping us bring this to the community.
Yeah, thank you guys as well. Everybody at Rain of Blood is just amazing. And then when you did Rain of Fire, I wasn't able to get to that one, but Fireplay is also something I love dearly, thanks to some very dear friends of mine who introduced that to me, and they teach classes here in Perth. Without Rain of Blood, I would have never been able to learn how to do needles. So, and just witnessed the most incredible scenes that I did, and at ridiculous times of Perth
Hey.
time, like 3 a.m. Perth time, 4 a.m. Perth time, but it was 100% worth it. So if people are thinking about going, I definitely highly recommend going, because just the accessibility alone is just leaps and bounds, I think, of what people are doing. There's so much, there's so many events and everything happening locally. Like here in Perth, there's tons, but on a global scale, there's not a lot. But I think it's picking up, which is so wonderful. And it's thanks to you and other organizations that are running online things to make it affordable and accessible for everybody to learn something. So thanks to Rain of Blood, I am now into needles. So
Well, guys, you heard it straight from Mask of
the horse's mouth.
Sanity. Just straight from them. They were very open. Follow their lead. If you don't have your ticket for Rain of Blood, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Our early bird sale ends soon. So end of the month, early bird is done. Get on it, do your thing, get a ticket. If scholarship is necessary, please reach out to us. We do have a process. And we do have some options available. So send us a DM and we will send you some info back. If you are looking for some stuff to do before now and Rain of Blood, we have the Summer of Stabs, and we have some great classes coming up and some really fantastic educators. We dropped all our classes yesterday and some really exciting stuff. I think we're doing Sin and Pin with Sinful Delight and how to create a human voodoo doll. So some really fabulous stuff coming up, just bucket list and just opportunities that you don't get to experience. Join our Patreon, stay listening to the podcast. Thank you for your amazing support. We love you lots. And from my dungeon in an almost sunny Cape Town, lots of love and kitten kisses.